The number one most watched video from the Daily Wire is this one. Ben Shapiro destroys Don Lemon on Confederate statues. What we got?
Whole idea of freedom of speech, and this conversation is very important to me, and I'm glad to have you on to talk about it. So what started out as a neo-Nazi murder in Charlottesville and the president's failure to denounce Nazi and white supremacists exploded into a discussion in this country about the removal of Confederate statues. Have we gotten away from the point of what happened in Charlottesville, what it was really about?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, some guy who is a fucking Nazi drove through a crowd and murdered a lady. Confederate statues were, I guess, an element of it, but not really the huge klaxon warning going on. Although, like, you know, maybe if there were no Confederate statues in the first place, maybe it wouldn't have happened.
And it seems to me we clearly have, and I think that was the point of the alt-right and the white supremacists seizing on an issue that they know that there's actually broad public consensus on not moving a lot of these statues.
That doesn't sound right. Hold up. Oh, wait. Newsweek. Majority of Americans now support removing Confederate statues. This is 2020. All right. This video came out 2017, so it was a few years ago. Good enough. We'll go with that. Looks like Ben Shapiro is wrong. 3 years after the fact, he became incorrect. A majority of Americans now back removing Confederate statues. 52%. Quinnipiac University poll. There we go. That's probably a better one. One counter I've had is, why should we have monuments to, like, either really side of the Civil War? All right, hear me out now, because I think there's one. We got one monument that really kind of makes all the others pointless, in my opinion. And that, of course, is the Arlington National Cemetery. If you're like non-American and you don't know, this is the largest military cemetery within the United States. Originally, the property belonged to General Lee. Estate passed to Mariana, who married United States Army officer Robert E. Lee. Virginia seceded from the Union at the start of American Civil War. Lee resigned his commission. In the end, of course, the Union took it. And you know what they started doing? That's right. They started using this grounds as a cemetery for deceased soldiers in the Civil War. I'm going to say it. I think this is a pretty good monument to that war. Why the fuck should you have, like, Lee on a horseback, like with a sword in hand leading a charge to battle? Fuck that. Show the cemetery. This is what that war deserves as a monument. Look at all the graves. Look at all the stones. Look at all the tombstones. This is the consequence that had to be paid. War is not about the glory of someone riding horseback into battle. War is about tens of thousands of people fucking dying. That's how I think our monuments to wars should be. It should always keep that in mind. How's that for a hot take, huh? Put that in your stew, Benny.
There's a Quinnipiac poll that came out today showing that 50 to 39 Americans aren't big on the idea of moving all these statues out. So
that aged poorly.
they seized on an issue that they think is a winning issue for them and then tried to broaden out their appeal that way. And I think a lot of folks on the left fell for it. They want to have this discussion anyway. And so they saw the opportunity to have this discussion. But it seems like a misdirection from what actually happened in Charlottesville. The issue in Charlottesville is white supremacy, not whether some people think that statues should come down or stay up, because clearly 50...
Well, statues are monuments to white supremacy, so it's part of it.
...of the American population doesn't want to keep these statues up just because they're a bunch of white supremacist racists.
Did liberals get played by President Trump?
I mean, no, they do want to keep them up because they're white supremacist racists. Like, can you tell me a good reason for why we should have a statue of Robert E. Lee? Why? I've never heard a good reason for it. And there's been a few people I've spoken to, and I bring up the Arlington Cemetery, and I'm like, that's a good monument. That should be what all of them look like. No one's ever had a good counter to that. I bet Ben would try to talk fast, but I don't think he'd give a good counter to that one.
I think pretty clearly they definitely fell for what was, whether he plans it or not, a trap for the left. I mean, he said, you guys don't have a limiting principle. You're going to go after statues of George Washington or Christopher Columbus or Thomas Jefferson, and now you're seeing that actually happen.
Hell yeah, take them all down. I don't care. I'm sorry, but like, what good is a statue? I don't care about my tax dollars going towards a statue. If you, like, personally want to put up a statue of whatever, like, in your own, in your own front yard or whatever, fine. That fine. It's your own house, your own property, fine. But don't put my tax dollars to it, man.
And on the left, the most obvious stupid case is this banning of this reporter from ESPN named Robert Lee, an Asian guy, from covering an event at University of Virginia. The political correctness of the left is actually...
Is that true? Or did he willingly step down and say, I don't think I should do this? ESPN pulls announcer Robert Lee from Virginia game. New York Times. Yeah, huh. Well, maybe it's true. All right, that was kind of dumb. Oh, he was reassigned to Youngstown State Pittsburgh game. I mean, that's not a big deal. That's a little dumb, but that's not a big deal. He didn't get fired. He just put him on a different job. That happens all the time. A little silly, admittedly. Mr. Lee decided for his safety it would be best for him to work on a different game that Saturday, the sports spokesman said. When you put it that way, that might be a good idea, yeah. Anyway, let's carry on.
Actually driving people into Trump's arms, even though Trump's initial response to Charlottesville and then his Tuesday response to Charlottesville was entirely wrong. I think that one thing that Trump has had, he's just benefited from the fact that the left is constantly reacting to everything he says with an enormous level of passion, and I think that that's actually a negative. Even what he did last night insofar as going after the media, because the media reacted.
My God, Ben Shapiro just keeps on going. Sean made a video about this. He did refuse to condemn the white supremacists. He was like, they were very bad people.
Instead of doing objective analysis of where he was not telling the truth, they jumped to extraordinary critiques of his mental health and talking about
if you say so, Ben.
How he was crazy and how he was morally bereft and all this stuff. All that does is it plays to his crowd. His crowd thinks that the media is out to get him. His crowd thinks that the media have a particular emotional animus for him personally. And so anything that the media do is going to exacerbate that.
I mean, they're all crazy too. This is also kind of Ben just saying, no matter what you do, we win. That aged poorly because they lost the 2020 election.
And by the way, and just because ESPN, I want to get it correct. ESPN has responded, and they were saying they didn't ban the guy's name is Robert.
Yeah, they moved
Lee.
him off of it.
They didn't ban him. They asked him if he wanted to, and he picked something that was closer to his family. They said that they didn't ban him, and they were looking out for his own interest.
Ben Shapiro fucking destroyed by Don Lemon.
They're trying to take away our culture. They're trying to take away our history.
They're gonna take away our culture. Now they say cannibalism is bad. I can't walk down the stairs and dine on a succulent Vietnamese child anymore. What has this country come to?
The media is simply responding to people who are there protesting and to the story of the statues being taken down. The media hasn't called for the statues to be taken down. So I don't understand when he says the media is
Ben
trying
Shapiro's
to take away.
Smug fucking face. I'm sorry, those high school bullies, they didn't hit him hard enough. That's gonna get
Your
me.
culture. What is?
Well, I mean, I do think that one of the conservative critiques of the media, and this has been true for as long as I've been alive and probably before that, is that the media have an agenda, a political agenda, and they hide behind this patina of objectivity in order to press forward this political agenda. Don, you were very passionate about President Trump's statements about the media last night, and I think some of that was justified, but I think a lot of it actually goes to what his base thinks, which is they think that you have an...
How can anyone, I don't get how anyone can listen to Ben Shapiro and take him seriously. He just keeps talking, and it's like, dog, not only is your voice, annoying, you're not even getting to the point.
Animus particularly for President Trump, that you have an animus for his agenda on things like Confederate statues. I think you personally probably want to see these Confederate statues come down. I mean, is that true? I mean, I would...
Why are you bringing up his personal... Wow. What a slime bag. In all that time, I already forgot what Don Lemon asked him.
So I don't understand when he says the media is trying to take away your culture. What is...
Well, I mean,
Okay, I don't understand what he means when the media is trying to take away your culture. What is that? And Ben Shapiro turns this around and responds, well, do you want to take down the Confederate statues? Oh, So you're just fucking admitting it then. This is their fucking culture. Is fucking white supremacy.
They think that you have an animus particularly for President Trump, that you have an animus for his agenda on things like Confederate statues. I think you personally probably want to see these Confederate statues come down. I mean, don't you? Is that true? I mean, I would assume you do.
Listen, I lived in the South for a long time, and to tell you the truth, I knew the statues were there. I was offended by the statues. Whether they should come down, I would leave it up to the individuals. But I do think that they are insulting.
There's an easy answer. Is it private property? No. Take it down. Is it private property? Yes. All right. I don't like it, but all right. Fine. That's a libertarian answer, baby. Basically libertarian, by the way.
To people, just as you would you want to see a statue of Hitler as a Jewish person?
No, I totally understand your point of view. The point is that you have a point of view,
which I made earlier. Would you want to go to? And listen, we shouldn't pretend that there's this fake.
Take it down anyway. Hey, like if someone has it like on their private property, and then like someone shows up during the night and like smashes it with a sledgehammer, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it, you know. But I am not personally gonna show up with the sledgehammer to knock it down. But if someone else does, is that a fair answer? I think that's fair.
Objectivity, everyone has a point of view. It doesn't mean that you're biased. And so, but just to get people to understand, as a Jewish person, you would not want to go to a Hitler high school. Well, that same effect, African Americans, that has the same effect. Robert E. Lee has the same effect on African Americans. And so, and also the Confederate flag. And so I think we have to be understanding of each other. It's not that I don't like the president or have an agenda against the president. I'm simply speaking the truth as I see it.
Yes, yes. And what Ben Shapiro won't acknowledge here, Donald Trump's kind of attached himself so much to this idea of white supremacy. And well, people who fly the Confederate flag have, that it's basically all intertwined for them. They don't even realize it. So when people like the CNN and Don Lemon mention, hey, the president's kind of defending these things, that's kind of weird, they take it as an attack on it because in their minds it's all so intertwined. It's like that saying, America is so racist that criticizing racism is seen as an attack on America.
Okay, so and I totally understand that, but what he's saying and what his people are hearing is he's saying essentially that you do have an agenda in terms of what you think, promulgating what you think about Confederate statues. You have a clear point of view on that. That's a perfectly acceptable and I think understandable point of view, but the implication is that you are...
Don Lemon did not come away from this conversation feeling like better. You walked away from this thinking like, what a fucking loser. God, what a waste of time. Who the fuck put this nerd on my show?
An objective reporter who's actually propagating a point of view, whatever that point of view may be. I mean, you just said openly that you don't think that your point of view is biased, but your point of view clearly is biased.
Oh yeah. Gee, really, Ben? So Ben, you gotta sit here and you gotta tell us that Don Lemon, a black man who came from the South, is kind of biased? You gonna tell me he's biased against Confederate statues? Why is he biased, Ben? What might make him biased, Ben? Why won't you say that last little detail, Ben? I'll say it. It's because Don Lemon's black and this affects him. And he knows what it's like for a lot of other black people living in the South. Ben won't admit any of that. You know this. I know this. Ben knows this. Don Lemon probably knows this, but he's a professional. Ben knows this because he's a fucking racist.
I think that your point of view is biased, but your point of view clearly is biased.
But
I mean,
what I said about the president last night coming out of his speech had nothing to do with statues. I was talking about his behavior on stage. So that had nothing to do with that. Yeah.
Again, totally understood. But the way that it read is that you have a personal animus toward the president, and that's the way he wants to play it. So whether that's true or not, that's the way that a lot of his followers are going to take it.
I only have a personal animus towards ignorance when people don't know their history, whether that's the president of the United States, a guest on this show, or someone I speak to on the street.
A guest on this show? I wonder who he might be talking about. Oh, fucking called Ben out right there. Oh, man, that was amazing.
I think if you're going to be able to, you need to be able to defend yourself. And in order to defend yourself, in order to have a right, clear perspective, you need to know history and you need to be educated about it. And in many ways, I think people who are fighting for these issues are not. And that means the people who want to take the statues down and some of them who do not want to take the statues down as well.
Wow, Ben uploaded that and thought that made him look good? Ben Shapiro destroys Don Lemon on Confederate statues. That's right. Ben Shapiro put a black man in his place about white supremacy. Oh, Ben Shapiro's totally not a racist. Okay. They talked about statues, but it started with him talking like, aren't we getting away from what really happened at Charlottesville by talking about statues? And in the way it was true. And Ben Shapiro took that and responded by talking about statues. Wow, such a smart man. Hello, everyone. I'm going to give a special thanks to all of the December patron backers. Dios, Elsie Up, George, Jari Palama, Laura Day, and Mellow Cheddar. Thanks a whole bunch, everyone. It really means a lot to me. Do you think anyone, actually watches a Ben Shapiro video and then they walk away feeling like, oh yeah, that made me a better person? That made me more fulfilled in my life. Because I don't. This video could get 20,000 views overnight, and I would not feel fulfilled in myself.